School, Trevor Anderson.
Thank you. You know, when I got the call from one of my former coaches that I was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, so many thoughts ran through my head. One of which was, how do you approach the acceptance speech? So many ways you can take it. After thinking about it for some time, I finally settled on this way. I decided to write a letter to the game of football, a game that gave me so much, gave everybody up here so much, and I'd love to share that with you guys today. Dear football, I remember the first time I heard your call. You whispered to me so clearly on this cool fall evening. There I sat beneath the lights, a 12-year-old boy on the cusp of an adventure I had never imagined myself on. I'll never forget the way the field seemed to reflect the lights that lie like guardians in all four corners of that beautiful grass field. There it sat, perfectly placed at the foot of a mountain, the distant rumbling of a soon-to-pass train echoing clearly in the night. That moment seemed frozen, contained within a frame that existed only for my eyes. The first of many moments to come that I'd claim as my own. Then it happened. The moment faded as quickly as it had come. However beautiful, and was replaced with an entirely different side of beauty. The beauty that can only come from the sound of an enemy crossing midfield and getting smacked by a linebacker. The train had arrived all right, but in the form of a modern-day gladiator, wearing a blue and gray uniform, words "Bulldog" etched across his chest. There he stood, pounding his chest in triumph. His foe, having lost, walked away defeated. Nowhere to hide underneath the lights, nobody else to blame. The crowd, which filled the cold, still bleachers, stretched out around the edge of the field, roared with a ravenous pleasure at their warrior's victory. The moment belonged to him, and there he was, fists raised highly as if to accept it all. His teammates quickly joined him in celebration, the reserve warriors on the sideline high-fiving one another as if the victory was their own. I'll never forget that night, because it was then that I knew. The call had reached me, and for the first time in my young life, I knew that this is where I was meant to be. This is what I was meant to do. My path had been revealed to me. A year later, I found myself back in that place, most unlikely of towns, particularly for an almost 13-year-old teenager from the inner city who found himself in the back of a police car 8 to 9 months prior, heading to jail. And yet there I was, this forgotten, quiet place, 45 minutes west of here, a little town called Cobleskill. You people may know it as Cobleskill, but I assure you it is Cobleskill. Now, driving down the streets, passing cow after cow and chicken coop after chicken coop, I thought to myself, damn, this really couldn't get any weirder. Of course, it was then that a big green monster, which I come to find out was commonly known as the John Deere tractor, rode down the street. Not on a farm, not in a field, just down the street, no big deal or anything. I remember thinking to myself, damn, I'm a little bit like Dorothy, I'm no longer in Kansas. But this strange place would become my new home. And to this day, I couldn't be prouder to represent my home, Cobleskill, and the good people there. There'd be many moments to follow, such as my first day in practice, where I was given a brutal dose of reality, when I quickly realized that maybe running a mile 3 to 4 times a week wasn't quite good enough to get me ready for the 2-a-day schedule and full body armor beneath the 98-degree heat. There I sat, sophomore, 5 minutes into my first ever JV practice, a defeated young man, finding comfort in the embracing arms of a fly-filled trash can beyond the old wooden bleachers on our practice field. Looking down at my breakfast, I couldn't help but think to myself, was this really for me? 4 weeks into that season, I'd get my answer. I stood patiently next to my coach on the sideline of CRFHOF, a proud new member of the varsity squad, having proved myself worthy in a fairly easy competition in an old buddy of mine. 4 plays in, I found myself lining up against an all-league senior who was blocking for an all-league back. But to be honest, I still didn't really understand what the hell a blitz was or a gap assignment, so lining up against an all-league player really didn't intimidate me. There was simply an obstacle in which he was preventing me from destroying anything that touched that football. The ball was snapped. Everything happened so quickly, and before I knew it, it was all over. I found myself standing triumphantly over my defeated foe, pounding my chest, embraced by my teammates. My very own moment. 2 years later, I sat in my coach's office, sifting through a stack of college football letters, trying to narrow my choices down, receiving news that I'd been selected to be a member of the first team All-State defensive line and would be participating in the Governor's Bowl as a member of the Golden 50. Records had been set on the field and in the weight room, and I'd received more individual accolades than I could have ever imagined possible. We'd accomplished so much together via football, and I knew there was much more in store for us at the next level and beyond. That day, as I left my coach's office, I couldn't help but to smile to myself, thinking back to my old friend, the fly-filled trash can, wondering, contemplating if this game, if youth football were right for me. Football, I write this letter to you not to bask in my former glory as a high school football player, but to let you know I've never and will never forget the fire that started it all. The fire that would come to forge the man standing here today. The man who now understands that it wasn't so much about what happened on the field or the individual accomplishments, but rather the moments in between, after and before. The short walks to the practice field with my boys, the bus rides to and from the game, the pregame dinners with all of our families, the tears we shared at the end of the season, realizing that what seemed like it would last forever was suddenly coming to an end. That celebrating a teammate's success together meant more than an individual sack, and all the lessons that inherently come along with participating in a football season, some of which would quickly reveal themselves. Other lessons would take 10 years to fully grasp, and I'm sure there are many yet to be revealed to me. So I'll stand here now, and like that warrior all them years ago, I'll pound my chest in acceptance of a moment that only appears to be mine, because I know now that this isn't about me. Just like that warrior all those years ago on that field being embraced by his teammates, it's about all of us here sharing this moment together. It's about my girlfriend Layla over there, who joined the story way after all these pages had already been written. And yet here she is sharing in a moment. It's about a tiny village opening its arms to a stranger and making him feel like he was one of them. It's about a school and a community giving me everything I needed to move forward in my life. It's about Coach Billington, Coach Hantho, Coach Barr, Coach Henry, Coach Ron, and so many others, giving a kid from the projects the chance to be a member of the football team, a member of their family. It's about my mother, who raised 5 children on her own. 5 of us on her own with no help. She did it by herself. And as she entrusted a 12-year-old boy, her eldest son, when he came to her and said, "Mom, I need to leave you. I need to leave our home, my brothers and sisters, in order to make something of myself." And she trusted me and entrusted me to a new family. It's about a woman who would come to be my second mother, Annie, and a man who would be the first father figure I truly know, Joe Fonda, opening their home to me despite their own struggles. It's about my sisters, Lynn and Kareem Fonda, my brother Jeff, who slept beneath a raised bed in a room the size of an airplane bathroom. I'm not exaggerating, a raised bed in a room the size of an airplane bathroom. He slept beneath that for 2 years to make space for me. It's about Mr. Kyle and Marnie Williams, my brother Matt, who is here, and my brothers Zach and Nathan, who accepted me as one of their sons and gave me a home to stay in for 4 years plus while I was in college. Never turning me down, always finding a way to make me feel included, just like one of their own, giving me anything I could possibly need. It's about Mr. Joe and my mama Irish, who offered their home to me at a time when I thought I'd be forced to go back to the crime-filled world that I had originally come from, for not judging me or my past, for being there to wipe away tears and showing me all the love in the world, all while raising 2 sons of their own. All these people who made me feel like I truly belong and gave me everything I needed to make it through those years and eventually accept an offer to attend UAlbany and play Division I football. And lastly, it's about a 12-year-old boy sitting in a corner on cold steel bleachers beneath the starry sky, the field illuminated by those 4 guardian lights, protected by a mountain that seemed to rise and meet the night sky, trying to find his place in the world, with no idea that the distant sound of a student pass train would bring with it a call that would forever change his life. Dear football, thank you. Sincerely yours, Trevor.